Before we begin, I just need to ask, who voted for FNAF, huh? Which of you bastards voted for this? I want names, your first and your last. I want to know everything about you. I can't believe this shit got voted on this much. I actually can't believe it. Anyway, if you remember during the Lego City video, I began the video with a question. I asked you all if you've ever had a game, a movie, or a TV show that you return to out of pure nostalgia. While the same question would apply here, I'm gonna ask something a little different. Have you ever been so scared of a game or a movie so much as a kid that it made you not want to watch or play them anymore? Well, as a kid in the 5th grade, I was like 10 or 11. My friends would always talk about FNAF because it had just released in 2014. I played the first 2 FNAF games up until night 1 or 2 in the past at a friend's house, but I never picked them up again. I was scared of the animatronics as a kid, and I'll admit that. Though, unfortunately, it was not the only reason why I stopped playing them, and it wasn't why I didn't actually buy them for myself. When we were kids, I'm sure we were all scared of weird things that just made no sense. You know, as comes with being a child. I mean, hell, I knew someone who was scared of toy dinosaurs, but I'm sure she got over that. Point is, now I must ask a second question. Do any of you think the FNAF games are actually scary? Well, let's answer this question by playing the first 4 FNAF games and FNAF World, baby. Let's do it! Before we get into actually reviewing the games, let's talk a little bit about the history of each game so we can establish ourselves and know what we're getting into. Okay, so FNAF 1. FNAF 1 is a survival point-and-click horror game that was released on August 8th, 2014. And honestly, this one broke new ground as nothing had been made like this before, where you're surviving in an environment like a broken-down pizzeria by closing doors using lights and using your cams being a night guard. It's a new concept. No one else had really thought about making a horror game based around being a security guard. It was a totally new and revolutionary concept. That's awesome. Basically, the main plot of this game consists of very simple Easter eggs and stuff you can find on the cameras. 5 kids are on this missing poster, which I think is what initially sparked theories and mysteries about the game. Then you also have Golden Freddy, which people were anxious to break down. They had to unravel the mystery of Golden Freddy. And of course, in these games, you can't forget the phone calls. The phone guy also shared his fair information about the lore.
The animatronic get a bit quirky at night.
And he also gave you decent tutorials on the nights. Anyway, with all this being said, the game didn't really have a story from what I know. As in, Scott just kind of made the game without considering a story until all these, like, fan theories and these game theories started coming out, which then he decided to play into with FNAF 2. As previously stated, I am making this in a similar style to the Lego City Undercover review. So I wrote a list on pros and cons to each game. The only thing different is in this video, I will be talking about the story and answering if FNAF is truly scary in a different part of the video, which you can find in the chapter section of the description. I'll begin with what I liked about this game. There are 3 major factors that I really liked about this game when I was playing it. They all mostly just have to do with the environment. Firstly, the detail of this map is quite exquisite, though it is incredibly small. There are a lot of Easter eggs all over the place, and seeing where animatronics go is genuinely just great, and they even have unique animations for certain cameras they're on, which makes things even better. Seeing how the animatronics engage in the environment is very appealing, and there's a lot of detail thrown into that. It's very nice to watch, and honestly, I really like that aspect of the game. Although I also have to say that going on the cameras is not really all that needed. I didn't go on the cameras that much until around night 4 or 5 whenever the difficulty really amped up, because it stalls Freddy and Foxy. So you're not really going to be able to see every single animatronic constantly in each of their unique states. So that does bring this down quite a bit, but for the most part, it's still pretty entertaining, and it's an aspect that I do like about FNAF 1. Another massive plus is this game's ambience. The ambience of FNAF 1, I think, is hardly beaten, and it really gets you in the FNAF mood when you boot up the game. Very few games actually immerse you in their environments like this one does, and I think it does it extraordinarily well. It really makes you feel like you're alone in the building and that it's abandoned, and it does so good at that. I mean, talking specifically about the animatronics footsteps is just mwah, chef's kiss. The grand je ne sais quoi of this game. The footsteps actually might freak you out a little, and they happen quite a lot. The sound design is just through the roof, and it immerses you into this abandoned building and really makes you feel like you are there. It does exceptionally well at that for what it is. And now to go on to the biggest plus of this game, the animatronic design. Oh dear God, man, these things are awesome. The wear and tear on Foxy is just amazing. There's so much attention to detail in Foxy's design and all the other animatronics design. It's just insane. The amount of detail they put into these models is crazy. The animatronics all look great in this game. Freddy and Foxy truly shine in this game with the immense amount of detail they are given, and it's truly impeccable and peak game design. Scott really did amazing on their looks. Bonnie looks great too, and he has a few cam shots that are very eerie, but in my opinion, he doesn't match Freddy or Foxy. Chica also looks decent, but I think she got the least amount of love out of all the other animatronics in this game. She just looks a bit weird to me, although it's still impressive, and I like the way she looks at you through the window. Speaking of them looking at you through the windows and doors, I mentioned this a little already, but the detail of them being in different positions on their respective cameras just looks amazing as well. Like I said, the detail work is spot on and the game looks amazing. Don't even get me started on what it looks like when you're shoved into an animatronic suit. The eyes popping out, the blood oozing from every crevice. It's an iconic sight indeed. And I think these are truly the aspects of FNAF that really prop it up above a lot of other games in the horror genre. There's not a lot of games that will really make you feel like you're there and will immerse you in the atmosphere like this one does. Now that I'm done praising the design and looks of the game, let's move on to the gameplay. Well, in a gameplay perspective, there isn't much to see or do. Though the way the animatronics work is very well balanced and they work very well with each other, Bonnie and Chica stop you from camping the cameras, Foxy prevents you from just staying in your office the whole night. It all adds an overall great balance in the gameplay and keeps you on your toes. The secrets of the game are also great, and I just can't forget to mention them. The hidden lore, like the Dead Kids poster that was used to kick off the lore in every other game, and also Golden Freddy. That is, if he doesn't appear every other night like he did with me. Oh shit, oh shit, oh fuck, Freddy again, what the hell is... Dude, I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of this yellow-ass fucking bear, dude. I swear to God, if he appears one more goddamn time, dude, what the fuck? Someone do the math on this shit, because I'm not even joking right now. I'm fucking pissed. No, dude. You cannot throw this bitch at me 6 goddamn nights in a row, alright? If you do this for the next 3 damn nights, I'm going to... Golden Freddy is very well designed and is just simply the cherry on top of the whole game. Now, in talking terms of specific nights that I enjoyed, I liked nights 4 to 6. I felt like they were the most balanced and they kept me on my toes the most. It wasn't too overwhelming, but it was overwhelming enough to say, hey, I had fun. Of course, as I mentioned when I was explaining the history of the game, this was actually very revolutionary for the time, and I'm not sure if anyone else could have made this game the way our boy Scott did. Nothing was too complicated, nothing was too overwhelming. It was not that bad. So now, let's move on to the cons. To start out, let me address the elephant in the room. This is a big fucking issue. For people who have 2 monitors, every time I click the door button, I click off the game, it minimizes, and the first time I did it, I was trying to close the door on Chica. I did not die, but I realized immediately that it was going to be an issue. Oh my God! Why did they make this thing fucking resolution? For those curious about what just happened, basically, when trying to check Chica's light, I minimized the game. Normally, that wouldn't be a big deal, but I'm playing on 420 mode trying to beat it here. That means that an animatronic moves every 3 seconds just about. In the time that I have minimized, there's been about 2, maybe 3 animatronic movements, and so Chica has made it into my office, so as soon as I pull up the camera, Chica jump scares me. This is a problem because the game is in a fixed resolution state. It's not a full screen game, and it has no menu at all for me to change that. That is what just happened, and that's why I'm so mad. Because it's not a skill issue, it's the game being flawed. I genuinely cannot even begin to tell you how many deaths I had while I was beating the game because of this shit. Since it's a windowed game, if I click on the door, the light button, and my mouse goes off the screen, it minimizes the game. Normally, I wouldn't bitch about this, and I honestly wouldn't if there were keybinds to close, open doors, and turn on and off the lights, because then it wouldn't really matter. It matters because Scott decided to put the buttons on the very edge of the screen and have no keybinds for them, which maximizes all potential to click off the screen and get my ass killed. One of my friends, when I was talking about this issue, they brought up Undertale, and they told me, well, Undertale is also windowed, and you like that game. And while, yeah, that is true, you also don't need to click off the screen in Undertale, do you? Like, you never do. I never minimize the game on accident and get killed because of it, now do I? Often I will admit if a death is a skill issue. These deaths that I have to minimizing the game are bullshit because of the poor design of the game. I even had to create a separate source in OBS because of the resolution. I've never had to do this with any other game because most games are made to be full screen. The reason why I had to do this was because of the 640 by 360 aspect resolution, which I had to enlarge to cover the whole screen, meaning if I played any other game with that enlarged effect, it would just enlarge that whole game. It would be too big to see anything that's going on. My other biggest complaint about this game is just how boring it is. I need to explain to you that each night is around 8.5 minutes long. That means around an hour to beat the whole game if you go deathless. Nights 1 to 3 are so boring because almost nothing ever happens. Bonnie might appear at your door once or twice, and maybe you'll see Chica once, and if you're not on cams, you'll see Foxy. But that's literally it. Freddy isn't even active until night 4. At least that's how it was for me. So once I had gotten to night 4, I did have something to do. But because the nights are just so long and nothing happens in them, it was one of the most boring game loops I've ever been stuck in. This would be different if I had a free roam option, which I am aware there is a fan game of. And do I think that this fan game is better than this? Absolutely. I just can't move from my position and actually look around at anything. I'm a stone. I can only look left and right and on cams. No movement. And since I mostly play open world games, this is a massive problem for me. There's just so much left unexplored that I'd like to see. Imagine seeing these hallways and the animatronics up close and personal, having these modeled in 3D. I understand that it would be harder to make this point and click type game like that, but even having, like, I don't know, a practice night where you can just explore the pizzeria, have all the animatronics off, that would be great. It would be awesome to see something like that. The gameplay is genuinely just bad, if I'm being honest. I mean, eventually I came up with a strategy to beat the nights, which I called the flick and switch. So basically, starting night 4, I would immediately put the cams on Foxy and then switch between him and Freddy the whole night and check the lights. Flick and switch. This was not a fun strategy because it required zero brain power to do and think of. Let me put things in my perspective. I got so bored playing this game that I had to do something else while playing. Whether that was listening to music, talk to a friend, I had to do it. The never-ending gameplay loop got to me and I cracked out of boredom. A world that leaps on dragging me around. I win my ground. And I won't back down. Hey, baby. I wonder if I would make it to 6 here. No. Hey, I will stand. As previously stated as well, there's not really a lot to see with the game either. You got your map, you got your animatronics, but since you can't explore, you can't really see anything for yourself. There's like little to nothing to see other than Golden Freddy. Now we get to the holy grail of shitfuck. Probably one of the biggest atrocities I've ever witnessed in video game history. This isn't too much of a problem until night 5, but there's a feature. Yes, a feature of this game where the camera goes black if an animatronic moves anywhere on the map while you have cams open, and it still happens if you flip cams down and back up again. It does this for around 15 seconds. In this time, if Freddy or Foxy moves, I'm fucked because I can't see if they have or not. How hard is it to update cams immediately? How hard is it? It's not that fucking hard! This was the worst ever program feature I have seen in any game up until this point. It's so bullshit, and you may ask if it has gotten me killed. And well, yes. Yes, it has. Many times. Not so much on night 5 or 6, but when I did 420 mode, oh, absolutely. You see, in 420 mode, I believe the animatronics move around every 3 seconds, give or take. Now, that 15 seconds of downtime is 5 movement opportunities. In that time, they can get to my doors and then some. Foxy can activate and make it to my office within that time. On top of that, it only takes Bonnie 3 successful movements minimum to be at my door. In those movement opportunities, he has enough time to kill me and then walk his happy little ass back to the stage if that was possible. That's not even the only problem I had with the cameras. Whenever you get a notification of your friend playing a game, or you get a message or a friend request, it blocks the fucking cameras in the bottom right because of the resolution. The problem comes back to the resolution once more. Not just for minimizing the game, but if you have Steam notifications on, you're fucked because they didn't think of it. The resolution makes these notifications absolutely fucking massive. It blocks one of the most important cams in 420 mode. Fucking bullshit. I feel like this game is just much better suited as a mobile game than a PC game. It just doesn't play well as a PC game. My last massive complaint about this game is how low effort it is. I'll cut Scott some slack, however, because it was originally going to be his last game ever, so I understand he may not have had full motivation to make the game, especially when his last games failed up to this point. What I'm talking about mostly is when it comes to the game being low effort. Everything in the game is just PNGs, JPEGs, and GIFs. There's no 3D modeling at all. Golden Freddy is literally a PNG that sits in your office. His jump scare is probably a PNG too. The jump scares are just simple GIFs with a loud noise. I mean, I just want more detail than that, man. But I'll go easy on it and excuse it since it was originally going to be his last ever game. Overall, I would rate FNAF 1 a 6.5 out of 10. I didn't enjoy it that much, but I did begin to like it more as I got to the later nights. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I had a very mediocre experience playing it. So now, let's move on to FNAF 2. First, let's talk about the history of FNAF 2, and then we'll talk about the lore, which kind of first got started here, and we got the cultural icon known as the Purple Guy, or also known as William Afton. So let's see here. FNAF 2 is a survival point-and-click horror game that was released on November 11th, 2014. Honestly, this one broke new ground, right? So basically, you play as a night guard, and you battle off the endless onslaught of 10 animatronics coming at you. Very revolutionary, if I do say so myself. Previously, there was never another game like this, and it was amazing when this bad boy released. The story begins to get a little fuzzy here, but the simple version of the story is a man that seems to not have a name yet, but is just called the Purple Guy, killed the 5 kids from the first game, and stuffed them in animatronic suits. You can find this out by simply playing the minigames when you die, or by listening to the phone guy who literally just tells you the whole plot on night 6.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform, stay close to the animatronics, and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself.
There are also slight hints and Easter eggs scattered around the map, like Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, who supposedly probably work for the Purple Guy, if I had to guess. The story here is pretty easy to follow if you remember that FNAF 2 comes before the other games, and it's kinda awesome. So yeah, let's just get started with FNAF 2. So of course, just like FNAF 1, I'm going to start with the pros, or what I liked about the game. Let's just hop right in. So, one massive plus, the game doesn't minimize when I click out of it. The game isn't in a fixed resolution, and even though it is windowed full screen, that's not a problem, and in fact, that made it easier for me to stop and start recording again. As an added benefit, this is when they started having keybinds for things as well, so that's definitely a huge plus on the gameplay side of things. I like that the gameplay is just fast-paced and better in general than just the first game. Major improvements over the first game already. Good job, Scott. So now you might start seeing a pattern to these pros, but once more, the animatronic designs just stand out and are amazing. The only animatronic design I'm not fond of here is Balloon Boy or JJ. And no, it's not because I'm salty that he keeps killing my ass. There's so much happening. There's so much vent. No! Oh, you are a fucking piece of shit, aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you, you little dog fucking water fucking piece of fucking...
Dude, I think the puppet's coming. No.
And it wasn't even the puppet that killed him.
His design is really just lacking compared to the others, but I mean, it's still a decent design. I'm a big fan of Toilet Bonnie here, and pretty much any of the other Withered animatronics. I think they far excel over all the other ones in this game. Although I do have to say, I don't think Withered Foxy is that great, to be honest, but he is still great looking. He looks just like the first Foxy, if I'm just being completely honest here. Withered Foxy, in my opinion, is definitely the weakest in terms of design for the Withered animatronics, but the rest just stand out here and look absolutely spot on. They have pristine designs, and it's honestly, they look super good. I would put most of their designs in S tier. Now let's go on to the toy animatronics. They look clean as fuck. Toy Freddy is definitely the best out of them in my opinion. Toy Bonnie is just about the worst one, but he's still great just like Withered Foxy. Mangle is incredibly well designed, and I love the visual of her hanging on your ceiling whenever she jump scares you. I just wish this didn't mean imminent death. From what I understand, she's so broken from all the kids who played with her, and I think it's just shown extraordinarily well here. Then we have the puppet, which I shouldn't even need to talk about. Of course, the puppet is one of the best animatronic designs in FNAF history. The symbolism of the streaks down the mask, the whole idea of her killing you because she doesn't trust adults is awesome. Everything about the animatronics is again peak. But then we have the secret animatronics, which kind of just suck if you ask me. Shadow Freddy is just a reskin of Withered Golden Freddy, who is an awesome looking animatronic as well. I do think that Withered Golden Freddy does lack, though, compared to the first ever Golden Freddy. And Shadow Bonnie is literally just a shadow with teeth. I honestly don't have anything else to say. That's probably the laziest animatronic design ever. And JJ is just Balloon Boy, but Balloon Girl. That's cool. All these secret animatronics are extremely lacking, unlike Golden Freddy from FNAF 1, and that's all the animatronics covered, and none of them are necessarily bad except the secret ones. Once again, the map here is fucking crazy good. It seems we have a pattern showing. There's just a lot to see here, and you can use the flashlight on cams to see the rooms better, which is great. This is, again, another improvement from FNAF 1, where you don't really see the rooms to their fullest extent because you can never really get a good look at them because it's not a free roam game. There is no detail here that is left behind. Everything looks spot on in this map, and it is absolutely a step up from the last game. The gameplay is just so much more fun than the first. I wouldn't say Night 2 or Night 3 are bad, but they're okay. Nothing special, but I didn't have a bad time playing them. Night 1 was bad, but that's a given, so I'm not going to count that as a con. Anyway, what I like gameplay-wise is that it's fast-paced, which means I'm constantly interacting and not doing any of these interactions in a meaningless way, but in a fun and entertaining way. There's a lot less to do on cams, but winding the music box up constantly gives you a reason to stay on cams, just like how you were constantly having to stay on cams in FNAF 1 with stalling Freddy and stalling Foxy. And they also improve the camera usage in this. Camera usage is fast and simply just amazing. It's also not limited by power, which is a plus. There are so many checks in this game that it's crazy, and for it being very hectic, it's also quite balanced. You have the blackout animatronics, which prevent you from staying on cams. You have Balloon Boy, which prevents you from just spamming your flashlight the whole night. Foxy, which prevents you from just sitting in your office with the mask on. And the puppet, which also prevents you from just sitting around the office and not doing anything the whole time, and giving you a reason to go on cams. This way, every feature of the game is used and utilized, and it's done well. Infinite power is great, but you do not have infinite flashlight batteries, which is unfortunate. Again, the ambience in this game is great, and the sound cues and visual cues are perfect. This is around when they started really integrating those more and more, and it really helps to listen and look in this game as compared to the first. The vent crawling sounds, BB's high sounds, the danger sound, Mangle's radio. It all helps immensely.
Hi. Hello.
let's throw it back to FNAF 1 real quick. What do you really have in terms of these visual and audio cues? There are cues, but they're very slight. You got the sound cues of them walking around, but I mean, that's about it. As for visual cues, you see them in your windows, I guess, if that really counts as a visual cue, which I suppose it would. And I think the biggest visual cue in that game is definitely Foxy getting ready to attack and run at you. Anyway, all the sounds of FNAF 2 help immensely, and the visual cues of Mangle's faces is also great. Very well done there, if I do say so myself. So let's move on to specific nights that I liked, which are nights 4 to 6. They're all very well balanced, but hectic as fuck. The only one that was iffy was night 6, because it requires pretty good RNG to beat, but it's RNG mixed with skill, so I mean, it's alright. The animatronics start really getting active on night 4, and by night 6, all hell is broke loose. But it's the good type of hell, I guess. So, moving on. Once you beat night 5, the feeling of relief you get is awesome, and it goes pretty unmatched. It's like when you're stuck on a Dark Souls boss for a few hours, and you finally triumph over whatever boss you just fought and won against. It feels great. Speaking of Dark Souls, this is basically the Dark Souls of FNAF games. The challenge and skill needed to beat this game reminded me a lot of Dark Souls if Dark Souls was confined to an office space and I was reacting to random bosses appearing in my office, especially Night 6. Night 6 is simply put unfair, but it's just unfair enough to where you know you can do it and that it's possible. So it really does feel like a Dark Souls fight, to be honest, and I was pumped while beating it, even though I got pissed a few times during it. And then that completion once you beat Night 6 is once again unmatched and so relieving. And I will play that clip for you now, just so you can see.
Oh my god. Pro tip, don't die.
Shit!
Oh shit.
No!
Uh-oh. Dude, come on, 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Shit. 6 a.m. Lock in. 6 a.m. Come on. Any second.
Yes! Yes! Oh my god! Yes!
Oh my god!
Holy shit! I fucking beat that shit! Oh my god!
Frame perfect.
Yeah, you hear like the jump scare cue loading.
That's fucking insane.
Oh, and you got $20 from that deal.
I think he's gone. I think he's reached pure bliss. Made, custom made.
I unplugged everything.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Dude, you were like 2 frames from dying.
As you can see from that clip, I was a very happy camper. It was the most rewarding night that I beat in the entire franchise. The last thing I'd like to slightly touch on is the lore. The lore of this game is very simple and pretty easy to follow, I'd say. I like it. Keep it simple. This guy kills kids and stuffs them in the suits. Puppet gives life to the animatronics. Easy stuff to understand and to follow. It's a good story, and that's about all I got for pros of this game, but they're massive pros, and they really make this game stand out. So let's see what we have to say when it comes to the cons. To kick this off, we're gonna have to address the massive fucking problem in the game. Sometimes the gameplay is just too overwhelming. There's just too much happening at once, and RNG will just fuck you right in the ass. And I know I was praising the gameplay earlier for being fast-paced and keeping you on your toes, but this is why I was talking about Night 6 being iffy. For example, oh, look, you're on cams to wind up the music box to keep Puppet from attacking? Well, here's 4 blackout animatronics in a row to end your life. As soon as you put the mask down, you have a few choices to make. Flash, Foxy, go into cams again, check the vents, all of which can easily get you killed if you're not fast fast enough, or if you choose poorly, or if luck is just not on your side. And the ambience of this game, unfortunately, even though it's alright, it does lack in one area. It doesn't really make you feel like you're alone. There's none of those spooky noises that FNAF 1 had that really just immerse you in the environment and make you feel completely alone. It doesn't do too good at that, especially when there's 10 motherfuckers trying to kill you. The ambience is also really not that scary in this game, and even though it's still good, it just lost its charm that it had in the first game, which I kind of just explained. But for example, like in FNAF 1, you had the buzzing of the lights and a lot of minute sounds that make you feel alone and uneasy. This game just doesn't have that. I mean, I was literally hearing vent footsteps every fucking second while playing. Or the danger sound. Don't even get me started on the danger sound when Foxy's in the fucking hallway. Jesus Christ, that is so annoying. And this really takes you out of the moment. But it does make the gameplay slightly better because your gamer senses, oh, you know, they'll tingle. And speaking of the sounds, there's just too many sounds going on in the vents for it to help you at all. The only thing I was able to get consistent at was telling if Foxy was in my hall or if Balloon Boy was at his final vent phase. You can tell if Balloon Boy is in the vent looking at you because you will hear his fourth laugh. And you can always tell if Foxy is in the hall because you'll hear the danger sound. But again, that plays all the fucking time, so sometimes it's just hard to tell if he's even there or not. And the vent movements are just fucking ridiculous, simply put. There's so much movement that it doesn't matter. You'll hear vent sounds every few seconds because every single animatronic goes through the vents except for the Freddy's and Foxy and sometimes Mangle. But she can also go through the vents, so fuck you, I guess. I wish they had a unique vent sound for more than just Balloon Boy because that would help. Or a different sound effect for Foxy being in the hall other than the danger sound, which constantly plays once a fuck ton of wizards show up. The last, like, massive complaint I have is kind of just carried on from the first game. So again, if any animatronics move in the hall, you can't shine your light down the hall. But this time it's only like 5 or 10 seconds or so, and it's not really that devastating. You can still flash Foxy even if the light doesn't actually go down the hall. So it's really annoying if you want to see Freddy in your hall or Chica to get you ready for when they show up, but you won't be able to look, and it really sucks, and it can catch you off guard if you're not expecting something, and then you'll die from it. But again, this is not as bad as the 15 seconds of downtime on cams. Another thing that I just want to talk about real quick, I don't necessarily hate this, but even though I complimented the fast gameplay, you need to train your reflexes to be fast to beat the game. Even though this isn't that big of a deal, it can get tiring for some people, so I knocked a point for that. And then I just have to talk about Foxy the Puppet and Balloon Boy. Fuck these assholes, man. You'll think everything is fine, but then Foxy jump scares you as soon as you flash him. What a dick! And then the puppet, I have to talk about her for night 6 and 7 in particular. Basically, her music box drains faster the further you are into the game, meaning at night 6 and night 7 where everything is happening at once, her music box is draining at light fucking speed. Meaning if you get bad RNG with the blackout animatronics or Balloon Boy or any of the vent animatronics, that music box is just gonna run out. And there's nothing you can do. It's kind of ass that she relies so heavily on good RNG to be kept wound. And genuinely, I dread completing 1020 for this reason alone. Now I have to talk about Toy Bonnie and Balloon Boy, my two biggest run killers of all. Fuck Balloon Boy first, because this bitch will sit in my vent for more than 5 seconds sometimes while I have my mask on, and I have no choice but to wind up the music box. And since I waited there for 5 seconds, he moves into my office and I'm fucked. He just takes too long to remove sometimes. Like, what the actual fuck? And then Toy Bonnie, oh my fucking god, everything RNG about this dude is so annoying. He sits in your vent for a random amount of time, he blanks out your office for a random amount of time, he fucking sucks, and he has gotten me killed for this reason so many times. Him and Balloon Boy combined have gotten me killed by Foxy and the Puppet so many times. Even Mangle. Mangle is almost the same as Toy Bonnie, but at least she will enter your office at the same time as another withered animatronic more than half of the time, so you knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. But yeah, those are all my complaints and appraisals about FNAF 2. Out of the franchise, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It was good and I enjoyed it. There were some bullshit moments and gameplay aspects that I didn't like, but overall, I did enjoy the game. Now we'll get to FNAF 3. Another thing that I want to add about FNAF 2, post-edit me, is it also suffers from the same problem as FNAF 1. There's not a lot of 3D modeling or anything in the game, and once more, it's just a bunch of PNGs and JPEGs and GIFs. That's about it. The jump scares are like really weak in this game. They're really bad. Unlike FNAF 1, the jump scares are just dog shit in this game. Not a single good one. And holy fuck, honestly, I do have to talk about Golden Freddy's jump scare, dude. This shit is fucking awful. This is probably one of, if not the worst jump scare in the entire franchise. Okay, yeah, that's it. Have fun with hearing me rant about FNAF 3 now.
To finally roam and invite newcomers to play with us for many years.
Alright, now let's move on to FNAF 3. FNAF 3 is a survival point-and-click horror game that was released on March 2nd, 2015. This game was totally revolutionary, and you play as a night guard? Wait, I've heard this one before. And defend yourself against waves and waves of animatronics? Isn't this just the same shit repeated from the first two games? Who the hell is writing this script anyway? You know what? Never mind. You play as a night guard, and the game was groundbreaking and is something never seen before in the horror scene. Okay, hold on. These descriptions are all the same. Who the fuck is writing this shit? You know what? Calm down. It's just a... We're just learning about the games here. Anyway, in FNAF 3, the story is simple. You're working the night shift at a horror attraction that seems to have been built after both FNAF 1 and FNAF 2, because you have all the animatronic parts from those games, which puts this game in the future. So here, you're really only defending yourself from one single animatronic, or... well, I guess he's not really an animatronic at all, but his name is Springtrap. This is our beloved purple guy from FNAF 2. If you pay attention to the minigames after each FNAF 3 night, you will probably know that the story goes that purple guy here realized that the animatronics got a bit too quirky at night, so he went mad and started dismantling them. This, however, just freed the children's souls entrapped inside of them, which spooked Mr. Purple Guy, and they chased him to a back room where he stored his Spring Bonnie suit that he used to kill them originally. So he decides to put on the suit in an attempt to scare the souls away, but because of the moisture in the room and him frantically running around the room to get away from the children's souls, it activated the spring locks in the suit and basically killed him temporarily because of Remnant or something. Oh, what? What's Remnant? Yeah, you better go watch MatPat. No, I'm not joking. I can't explain what Remnant is. It makes you immortal for some reason, and dead children apparently have it attached to them or something. Fuck if I know. I'm just here to play the video games. FNAF 3 yet again follows in the footsteps of its predecessor, so I'll just start with what I liked about the game. Of course, I like Springtrap's design, and fun fact, he is my favorite animatronic design-wise. I think that he blows all the other animatronics out of the water in terms of design, and he looks so good in this. And even the secret screens with him on it, oh my god, they look so amazing. I think the rips in his suit and the guts and shit coming out is peak horror design, and it makes him look just amazing. There's no other way to put it. He looks spectacular. He's an icon. I love the way Springtrap looks in the game, and it's genuinely just such a cool animatronic monster man to look at. Once again, I also like the map, and I think this is my favorite map in the FNAF game series. The intricate designs of the vents flowing through the building is just simply outstanding, but also the detail on the walls and on the floor and how every FNAF 1 animatronic is present here. It's genuinely such a detailed map, and it's beautiful. I love it. There are so many little Easter eggs and secrets to find and explore, and the best part is night 1, there is no threat at all. This means you have free reign to look through the cameras and get a feel for the map before the animatronics start to come after you. And I'm not gonna lie, I really like that. One thing that I really enjoy about the gameplay of this game is that the cameras are very interactive. You can close vents, you can use audio lures, toggle the map, etc. There's a lot to do on cams, and it doesn't feel like you're only focused on one camera in this game. It's well done. Another thing this game does sorta well is 2 audio cues in particular and a very massive visual cue. Again, just like FNAF 2, this game has both audio and visual cues. If there's a lot of static on your camera, that means that Springtrap has moved from that camera that you are on. This is absolutely massive to catch on to early like I did, and it basically renders the video error useless. So I'd basically just be in a gameplay loop where I'd wait until I had a sound or vent error, and then I'd reboot the stuff one at a time because rebooting all takes way too long. The audio cues that are helpful are when Springtrap goes into a vent, which is incredibly hard to hear, but it's possible. Also the audio cue of danger. The danger audio cue will begin to play when Springtrap is close or if Freddy walks by, at least from what I know. And usually this audio cue, it starts low and it gets louder as he gets closer to you, which is a nice touch. And on to the lore. Again, in this game, the lore is pretty easy to figure out to an extent. Springtrap dismantles the 4 original animatronics, thus freeing their souls. Then they scare him into a bunny suit and he dies. Simple enough. The minigames where you get the good ending is just freeing the souls of the children, but I don't think that's canon. The minigames are okay, but it's nothing too special, and that's especially the hands-on lore that's easy to figure out. Trust me. When Remnant gets involved, fuck the lore. Fuck the lore from this game on. I'll come back to that later, though. Other than that, I really only liked Nights 5 and 6. They were both extremely well balanced, and beating Night 6 gave me a massive rush of adrenaline, and I was very happy. Oh, it fucking
Okay,
piece of shit. Oh, so you think you can just... So, pal, it's been a long time. We are at 5 a.m. right now. Well, you know, you have a nice face. You're so cute. You're so cute.
Mario, I need you to do this.
No. No, it's
AI.
over.
When am I putting into the AI?
Boob pics.
What?
Ian just sent me a meme saying boob pics don't
Oh my
send
god.
me any.
Oh my god. William. Hey, wait, William. Your name is William. Can you talk to William and make William not jump scare me, William?
Okay, hey, don't jump scare him because it'd be very scary. Don't.
That
don't
would
do
be
that.
kind of weird, man, if you just kind of walked in my room and fucking did... Fuck you! Yeah! Yeah! Fuck you!
See, that's the sound of victory.
That's the sound of getting a Sigma sandwich.
Yeah, take that shit! Yeah, burn to the ground! Fucking Sigma sandwich for the win! Fuck pizza! Oh, I'm exhilarated after that. That's probably the best night I've ever played. That is actually, oh my god, that was actually so fucking good! Oh my god, yes! Night 6 of this game is honestly the most balanced and skill-based night in any of the games I played so far. It was actually the most fun I have had playing a FNAF game. It was genuinely so invigorating and awesome. I beat this whole game in 80 minutes, so yeah, I like that it kept the suffering to a minimum. If you have a keen set of ears, you may have noticed that this game lacked a lot of appraisals I gave the other games, and you would be correct. There just wasn't a lot to happen that I needed to write down and talk about. I mean, I guess I like the title music of this game the most, but the reason why there's so little to say is because it's the same exact thing as the other 2 games that we've played so far. But now it only has one animatronic that can actually kill you. So I think you can all see where I'm going with this. So yeah, let's just get started with the cons of this game. There's not really that many of them either, so let's just get through this. To start off, the biggest issue I had with the game is that I couldn't see Springtrap on the cams most of the time because he blends in or he stands in an awkward spot or angle. Also, this is just a side note, but he has clones of himself or like hallucinations of himself to try to throw you off, which is kind of cool, but I forgot to mention that in the pro. Anyway, take this attempt for example where he's really aggressive and I just lost him and I couldn't find his ass. What the fuck? Where was he? Hello? Another thing that I did like was that I didn't experience every animatronic in the game. I got jump scared by every animatronic but the puppet and Chica, and I didn't even see them once. Neither of them. This is the only FNAF game where I just didn't see all the animatronics, and that's kinda sad. But now let's talk about the Phantom designs. Ooh, reskin galore, my favorite. Phantom Freddy is literally just Withered Freddy. Phantom Foxy is literally just Withered Foxy. Phantom Puppet is the Puppet. Phantom Mangle is Mangle. And Phantom BB is literally just BB. Why did they even remake Balloon Boy and Mangle? Why? They have so many other iconic animatronics they could remake, and they choose those two? This really also allows for a great segue into my next point to why this game isn't good. There's just too little in this game. This has the exact opposite problem FNAF 2 had. There's nothing all the time, and only one animatronic is a threat. I went deathless until night 5, and I only died on my first night 2 attempt because I didn't understand the game. In total, I died around 5 or 6 times beating nights 1 to 6. It's so unbalanced in that your audio lures are just so overpowered. I camped sitting on cams pretty much the whole night, making me immune to all animatronics except Foxy and Balloon Boy. And I need to just talk about the gameplay loop here. I'm on cams probably around 90% of the time. That is so fucking boring. Foxy only ever jump scared me on night 6, and Balloon Boy got me once or twice because I was really slow putting down the cameras. But it was so easy to avoid them. But that's why I liked night 6, because it throws everything at you with high AI levels, so it was incredibly hard to get precise, and there was a lot of room for error. But I played well, I guess, because I still didn't die that much. The audio lures work 100% of the time, always luring Springtrap back if he is on an adjacent camera. They're good in concept because they help you get rid of animatronics for more cam interaction. But in execution, they're just broken, and I'm able to keep Springtrap in one spot the whole night. Now take this concept and mix it with more animatronics that are actually a threat. Actually give me a door and a vent door in the office to keep an additional animatronic or 2 out of the office, and the game would be 100 times better. Maybe also have it where, you know, the audio lures don't work 100% of the time. Or if you're gonna have them work 100% of the time, then give me an extra animatronic or 2 to deal with. And while we're on the topic of audio, there is one audio cue I didn't talk about, and that's because I was never able to hear it. Springtrap has a footstep sound when he's close, and I could never actually hear it. It's just so low, so there's no point in adding it to the game. Also, as an additional bonus, I didn't like any night other than night 5 and 6. They were all just way too easy. This was actually one of the most boring games I've ever played in my entire life. I had little to no entertainment my entire time playing it. And anyway, that's really all I have to say about the game. Let me just make sure I talked about all the animatronics. Wait, what? Springtrap 2? What? What is that? Okay, you know what? Let's just ignore that. Alright, this game gets a 5 out of 10. Pretty much every point comes from night 6. Cool. What a great game. I really hope the next one doesn't disappoint. Oh, fuck.
We've been all alone. We're forced to be still and play the same songs we've known since that day.
Alright, time for FNAF 4. I can't wait to see what it says here. I wonder if I'm playing as a night guard again. Woo! Alright, FNAF 4 is a point-and-click survival horror game where you play as a child in his own room, hiding and panicking while scary animatronics claw at your doors and hide under your bed and in your closet. What the fuck? Okay, well, at least it's different, I guess. Well, FNAF 4 was released on July 23rd, 2015. The story of this game is somewhat difficult to follow because I think you're in the past. I really hope you are. This kid is scared of the animatronics for some reason, and I don't think that's really explained. But I believe you're playing as William Afton's or Purple Guy's kid. Yeah, that purple guy does have a name. His name is William Afton. I'm not going to call him Purple Guy for the whole fucking video. Anyway, the simple story here is that you're a kid and you're surviving these nights of these hallucinations or something made by William Afton to keep his children in the house. I think this is because his daughter died to one of his creations, so he thinks that it's no longer safe for them to be out. I may have come off as a lore expert up to this point, but I really have no idea what the story is in this game. Like, I actually just don't. I'm trying really hard here, man. So anyway, yeah, he makes these hallucinations to keep crying child in his room to keep him safe, even though they eat you or something, so that's cool. When it reaches 6 a.m., these hallucinations stop and they can leave their house, but I honestly don't know why this child who is scared of the animatronics would attempt to sneak out by himself in the middle of the night anyway. So in the masterful storytelling minigames of this game, you keep getting scared by your brother in a Foxy mask. And that is essentially why Foxy is in the closet in this game, because he's always hiding. And this story lasts up until night 4, where you just get locked in the parts and services room. And of course this triggers some sort of PTSD or some shit. But then in the next night's minigame, you get let out by your brother, who decides he's gonna have you give a big kiss to Fredbear by throwing you into his mouth? What? Okay, How the fuck is Fredbear swallowing me a kiss? Just like his dad, the moisture from the crying child squirming and his tears causes a spring lock failure and thus is the bite of 83, I think. And that's my deepest understanding of the lore of FNAF 4. Alright, look, I'm not afraid to admit some things. I'm courageous, but this fucking game, it broke me. I actually couldn't do the 6th night. Yes, I know. But you said you would. And also, this video came out like months late. But that was until I played this hot piece of fucking garbage. If there is a part 2 to this video, maybe I'll play night 6 then. I just genuinely cannot complete the game. I just can't. It's not fun. It was so boring. And it's not because it's scary, not because of any of that, but this is single-handedly the most exhausting gameplay loop I've ever experienced. At least before in the other games, I was able to look at cams and get visual cues, and I felt really great when I mastered the mechanics and figured things out. But here? Oh, no. Here, it's all auditory cues. The only visuals in this game in terms of helpful cues is when Foxy is in the closet and when Fredbear is about to kill you. Yes, by the way, you heard me right. There is a fucking visual cue when you're about to die. Great! Yeah, that really helps a lot. I need to know when I'm about to fucking die! Because my usual strategy of not getting bored while playing the game was to hop in VC with my friends or listen to music while I was playing, I was insanely bored this whole time. The whole fucking time. Door to bed to door to closet. Door to bed to door to closet. The most recycled and boring gameplay loop of all time. Fuck this game. I actually can't fucking stand it. To no surprise at all, I made it through night 1 with no problems. But then, night 2 comes along. Fuck that. I kept my deaths to a minimum beating the 5 nights in the other games. I'm pretty sure I died 60 fucking times completing the first 5 nights. I died just about 10 times every night. Now that I'm done complaining about this, I'm just gonna start with the 4 fucking pros I have on this game. And yes, only 4 pros I wrote down. And they're not even that big pros. They're not that massive. There's nothing huge that I like about this game. The bonus from the plush trap minigame is great. It starts you an hour ahead. Assuming you actually time this shit right. You know, starting a few extra hours in each night if you complete it, it is just great. They should have had this in more games, to be honest. It's a great addition. Obviously with more variations than just plush trap, though. Now I'll talk about the designs. Woo! The design. So we got Chica, who looks pretty cool. Foxy looks decent. Nothing wrong with him. He looks pretty nice. Good job. Fredbear is probably the coolest animatronic in terms of looks in this game. Honestly, pretty awesome. But yeah, in terms of animatronics that look great in the game, you may be wondering, Freddy? Bonnie? Plush Trap? Nightmare? Nightmare BB? Yeah, I'm gonna get to them later, but for now, let's talk about the lore. The story that the minigames tell are pretty well done, even though I spent most of them screaming at the children in them and fucking around. God, pick your fucking brother up and chuck him in the fucking mouth of Freddy already! He's a fucking child. It is pretty funny. Yeah! Give him that fucking shit! Give it to him! Yes! Give him a kiss. Give him a fucking kiss! Yes, you wanna fucking go! You wanna fucking go, don't you? Oh, yeah, he wants to get closer, doesn't he? Yeah, you wanna get fucking closer? You fucking asshole. I'm gonna love this. Yes. 1, 2. Get fucked, you stupid piece of shit. This is what you get for putting me through all this. You're the reason why. That Fred motherfucker. I mean, the kid gets scared by brother, gets bullied by brother, chucked into the mouth of Fredbear by brother, and dies. Cool! And my only other thing I liked was when the game was over. Which let me just play the clip for you. Yeah, I was done. I was happy I just got done having a mental breakdown over the last 6 hours I spent with Fredbear. Alright, that's it. That's it for the pros of this game. Let's move on to the 20 cons. Yeah, this has the most cons out of anything FNAF related, and it has more cons than the Lego City video. And it doesn't even balance out. So, yeah, big problem. I have 7 major cons when it comes to this game, so let's just start with the most obvious one that pisses me off the most. there are no visual cues. Remember those visual cues that I praised the other games for? Yeah, no, they're gone entirely. Let's see, we can see when Foxy enters the room. We can see when Fredbear is gonna kill us. We can see when Foxy moves. Huh, sick. Good game! Yeah, no, this is actual shit. The visual cues were so great in the other games, while they also had the player rely on sound cues. Both were integral and important to the gameplay. Here, they both really aren't. It's all just sound. It even tells you that on the title screen. Now, this wouldn't be that bad of a thing if not for something which I'll get to later. Now, you may be asking, why is this all that big of a deal? I mean, the other games, they had sound cues too, and they relied on them. Yes, but this one pretty much only relies on sound cues. Barely any visual cues are in this game at all. And you see another major reason why these sound cues are such a big deal. Scott, the genius Cawthon, decided to make the sound cues extremely low, and I had to play on 100% volume to hear the fucking crickets on the warning screen. Meaning I needed to be around that level to hear the fucking breathing sounds at the doors. These breathing sounds are extremely fucking low. Also, it isn't even fucking breathing. It's just a blow. The animatronics are literally blowing at you through the door. Someone is obviously just blowing into their microphone. It's not breathing. The amount of times I've died due to the breathing being delayed is fucked. And I thought, well, there's no breathing here, so time to leave. So then I check the bed and I just die. Normally play a game that is this low of volume at 100% isn't that bad. But no, it can't be that easy, can it? Scott decided, wouldn't it be funny if I turned the jump scare sound all the way up? So when I get jump scared, my ears explode. There was this one time I got jump scared by Fredbear near the end, and my ear legit just started ringing. Unironically, just started ringing from the pain. Side note, if you didn't know, I have sensitive ears, and unfortunately, I get it from my mom. So yeah, this game was doomsday for me. A lot of the stuff that was just redeeming about the other FNAF games is just not present here. The map is a big one. Dude, I'm confined to a small room this entire game. I can't see anything past the halls. No cams, no nothing. I can't explore. It sucks. Usually the maps are so detailed, but in this one, it isn't. And yeah, I know, the minigames after the nights are the house you're in. But that's a pixelated map! I want to see the detail that was shown in quite literally every game up until this point. There's almost no level of detail in this game. I can't see anything past the hallways. I can see barely anything that's in the closet. My room has almost nothing in it. My bed isn't detailed. And I know later on into the nights that I didn't get to, stuff in your room starts getting replaced with hospital stuff, but that's about it. I can only look in 4 different places. There is quite literally nothing to this game. Another thing I just have to mention that I hate is sometimes the controls are unresponsive, like in the clip I'm showing on screen. I'm trying to leave the door, but it won't let me. This happened more than once, and there is no doubt in my mind that it got me killed a few times. Speaking of unresponsive controls, I kept ending up going to the closet on accident, even though my cursor was over a door. So that's cool. Thanks, I guess. And my final 2 big points are very similar, but I need to stress this to you all. This was the most boring gameplay I've ever experienced. And I've said this for the past 2 games, how FNAF 3 was boring, FNAF 1 was boring, but no, I'm not over-exaggerating this time. This time I actually mean it. This is quite literally one of, if not the worst game I've ever played, including also having the most boring gameplay loop I've ever experienced. Yes, this is actually the worst gameplay loop I've ever experienced. I've already said the loop before. Door, bed, door, closet. It's so repetitive and it was so inconsistent that I ended up trying so much on this fucking game. Because I couldn't do anything to entertain myself, I ended up spacing off sometimes or just getting tired and walking away from my desk. Yes, I physically got up in real life to walk away from my desk from how bored I was because I wanted to go outside and do something else. I cannot stand repetitive gameplay loops when nothing changes and nothing is innovative. And you can argue, Mario is the same platformer every game. But no, not really, because every Mario level, at least, is somewhat unique. Like, hell no. Here, it's the same 4 animatronics every night, always active. You want me to tell you something else I fucking hate about these games that I didn't explain before? It's always the same fucking 4 animatronics. There's nothing new to it. It's Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, Freddy. Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, Freddy. They can't think of another fucking animatronic? Are you fucking kidding me? And you can argue, oh, what about Mangle or Balloon Boy? Mangle's just fucking reskinned Foxy. Fuck off. It's the same fucking thing, just pink and white. Maybe if every animatronic was somewhat different, maybe I would have more enjoyment. But holy shit, the amount of shitfuckery in this franchise pisses me off to no end. And now let me go back. It's the same 4 animatronics every night that are always active. So you know how there's a progression system in like every other FNAF game up until this point? Well, Night 2 in FNAF 4 gives you every animatronic. It just gives you every animatronic. All of them. Nightmare Freddy, Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Chica, Nightmare Foxy. All of them are just active on Night 2. And this is the same thing for Night 3 and Night 4. Until Night 5, where there's finally a new animatronic. Night 5's the only night that adds a new animatronic. And Night 2, I guess. Night 5 and Night 2, they're the only ones that add new animatronics. So the progression system is just gone. And there's no surprise, because they all act the same fucking way they did before in every other night. Now I'm going to explain what I mean by this is an exhausting gameplay loop. I already explained this in the other segment, kind of. But when I say I was exhausted from the gameplay loop, I literally lost motivation and couldn't bring myself to beat more than a night a day. If I did more than one night a day, I actually just was so tired afterwards because it takes me hours to beat a single night. Call me bad. Yes, I'm bad at the fucking game, I guess. Sorry for being bad at Five Nights at Freddy's 4. But I think that goes to show something. When I fucking hate the game and I lose motivation after beating a single night because it's so boring. And keep in mind, these nights I'm doing the same movements and shit over and over with no visual stuff for me to look at, and I only get fucking back into it once a loud ass jump scare plays. You'll see me die at 5 a.m. a lot because I just get tired from the endless gameplay loop that I slow down too much and I start to fumble. It's a skill issue, but I can't help it because the game's so fucking boring. And I know everyone wanted to see me do Night 6, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm tired of FNAF 4. I don't want to play it ever again. It's so fucking bad. Anyway, yeah, basically I explained why it's so boring. There's no music, there's no talking, I just full attention put onto a boring game with a boring gameplay loop. And I fully lost motivation to play the game after Night 3, if that tells you anything. It's definitely a skill issue, but it's also a what the fuck were they thinking when they made this issue? I don't know how you didn't get bored while playtesting this, Scott. I really don't. And I just have to complain about the length of the nights. They're only 6 minutes, sure, but it's full of nothing. It's 6 minutes of shit gameplay. I would actually rather watch paint dry for 24 hours than play this ever again. Watching paint dry would be 100% more entertaining than this shitload of fuck. And on top of all this, there's a game that I played where literally nothing happens in it at all, and it's just a flat plane of existence where you talk to these monsters. I'd rather play that than play this thing ever again. There's even potential to this game, but it's all fucked. Everything got lost in translation when making this piece of shit. Another thing that I just need to say is that this is the scariest FNAF game that I've played. No doubt that VR is probably scarier, but this is probably the scariest. But it's scarier for all the wrong reasons. It's just loud. That's it. The jump scares suck. I am expecting them every second. If I am expecting it, I don't really get that scared. This is a scream of pain, of frustration. How? How am I alive? How am I alive? Oh my fucking god. I don't get it. I was at 5 a.m. I don't get it. Oh my god. No. Can someone just explain what I did wrong? Can someone? Anyway? Also, I need to talk about the plush trap minigame again. The plush trap minigame sucks. I would wait 10 seconds and he would just barely move ever. Also, one time I got him on the X and it just didn't count. Fuck that. Fuck this bullshit, alright? I'm done mentioning this fuck. His game sucks and he doesn't even work. His jump scare isn't scary, it's annoying. Before I talk about the rest of the animatronics, I just have to mention that this is when the lore got really fucking warped and weird. I'm not gonna go into detail because I don't fucking understand it. I'm not gonna go into detail with the lore. If you want to look at the lore, just watch one of Game Theory's 200 FNAF videos. But basically, Hallucination Disc got involved here, and I think there's Remnant in this, which I briefly mentioned before, but it's confusing as all hell. And this is where the timeline problem started, where this game is like in the past again. There's just a lot, and there was a lockbox or something in this game too that had something in it that people were trying to unlock forever. It's just a lot. Now I'll talk about one last thing before moving on to the animatronics. The game was not relieving when I beat Night 5. Instead, I was pissed off when I beat Night 5. I love seeing the character I played as get his head bit off. He deserved that shit for putting me through this hell. All because he's scared of these fucking animatronics. Yeah, when I beat Night 4 and Night 5, I had mental breakdowns. It was awesome yelling at everyone, and finally we'll get to the animatronic designs and mechanics that I don't like. So let me just start with designs. Originally, I had designs in Pro, but the more and more I played this, the more I realized how just over the top the animatronics were. It's like Scott just tried way too hard to make them scary. Bonnie is an ugly little shit. What the fuck is this? It's not scary to look at. It's not really unnerving. The Wizards, in my opinion, and Springtrap are the scariest designs. Not only do they look real, but they also give off like a really creepy design to them. These things are just made to look over the top scary like fucking Poppy Playtime. That's what I would compare these little shits to. It looks too weird to me for Bonnie to be a bunny here. And next we got Freddy, who again just looks really weird when it comes to his design. The freckles coming off of him make him look strange, and his proportions are just weird and not right. Next we got Plushtrap, who is just ugly. Like, that's it! What the fuck is this thing? It's not a good design at all. Nightmare is just a reskin Nightmare Fredbear. But I mean, at least he's done differently and has like organs and stuff, which makes him more unique than other reskins we've seen. He looks okay at the very least, but when he jump scares you, it's just a PNG that shows up. Fucking brilliant. This is what I consider to be the worst jump scare in FNAF history. It tops every other jump scare by a long shot. Somehow the Garbage Gang itself is scarier and more unique than this. Nightmare Balloon Boy just looks fucking high and stupid. He's the stoner of the animatronics. Enough said. Gameplay wise, fuck Foxy and fuck Fredbear. Foxy runs into your room and ends so many runs because he starts in the kill position, so as soon as he enters, if you check your bed, you're dead. I've died to this a few times and he's a piece of shit. He also makes me blink too much, I think. I don't know what the fuck causes the blinking, but I'm assuming it's Foxy. Fuck him. He's annoying. Fredbear sucks because he shares the AI of every animatronic and has these laughs which tells you if he's entered your room. Problem is, he can use a fake laugh and make you check your room, wasting like 15 seconds, which is enough time for him to kill you. He can be anywhere, so you just have to look out basically and keep your ears peeled. If he enters your closet, there is no visual cue, so thanks Scott for making one for Foxy and not Fredbear. Oh, but you got the audio cue, which can be a fake out, so I guess that's cool. Also, I hate Freddy's mechanics. If he didn't put a bunch of screaming children on my bed, a lot of deaths would have been avoided, and I mean a lot. And no, I did not like any of the knights in this game, and the most fair knight would probably be Fredbear's. Anyway, with all my complaints out of the way, I would rank this game a whopping 0 out of 10. Genuinely, I don't like the game at all. I didn't enjoy a single moment of it. It was the only game to ever make me exhausted to the point of wanting to quit making this video. I would rather play Among Us than play this. I just hate this fucking game. I don't like the mechanics, I don't like that I can't see anything, and I don't like that the game is unresponsive at times. Fuck the game, it actually sucks.
An imposter took our life away. Now we're stuck here to decay.
Now, the only other game left to talk about is FNAF World. FNAF World was released on January 21st, 2016. So FNAF World is a light-hearted RPG adventure-styled FNAF game. Bear with me here, but I think the story is something like animatronics from another world are invading the animatronics hometown of Animatronica, and you and the rest of the gang have to stop them and find out where they're coming from. The final game I will review in this video is going to be FNAF World. And a lot of you may ask, well, what about Sister Location? Well, I decided, fuck Sister Location. I think I'd get more enjoyment out of a game I've never played or watched anyone else play. So I played FNAF World on hard mode and got every ending. And to my surprise, it was awesome. For once, I took a breath of fresh air and I was freed from being locked in a fucking room for a whole game. Unfortunately, I did not complete Chica's Magic Rainbow minigame, but I did try. And I did cheat to beat it. But if it makes anyone feel better, I didn't use the reward I got from completing it on any boss, and at that point I was able to one-shot most enemies with Nightmare Yon and Jacko, Chica, and Coffee anyway. But yeah, I ended up beating the rainbow with William Afton, Jacko Bonnie, Coffee, and Nightmare Yon. I used Slasher anytime I could, and I kind of went a little crazy in the game. Again, though, I will do a full completion of getting the characters that I missed if I do make a part 2. If I do make a part 2, I'll try to complete the challenge modes, the nights that I did not complete in FNAF 4, and I guess I'll also do the next 3 games in the series and Security Breach, probably. But Security Breach may be a part 3, because I don't think I can fit all that in one video. Anyway, let's talk about this FNAF RPG, shall we? So I'm going to start off by talking about the sprites. Dude, these things look so good. Genuinely, every single sprite actually looks good in their miniature forms. I like the way Nightmare Bonnie looks way more in this than in the actual Five Nights at Freddy's 4 game. Every single sprite looks amazing. I have no complaints at all with any of them. And this is probably the first FNAF game where I completely just enjoyed the gameplay from start to finish. Holy shit. What the fuck? Scott did so well with the RPG mechanics, it's uncanny. He has each character serve a designated purpose, whether it's support, healer, big damage, or a mix, just like in most RPGs. I'm genuinely impressed by this, and I love just fighting shit in the game, man. It was so fun. Every battle was great, and I never got tired of learning new shit about the game. I mean, obviously, there are a few things I disliked about the gameplay, which I will get to later, but overall, I enjoyed my experience playing this. The fighting in the game itself is so satisfying, like any good RPG game is. Typically, good RPGs will have great combat mechanics that are very satisfying to an extent, and this game has that. Every fight, as I said, was interesting. And also, a bonus is if one of your guys die in your party and they level up, they get resurrected, which is awesome. But they also just get healed and resurrected after every battle, and that is extremely helpful and great. And this is in contrast to most RPGs where you must return back to a village or some sort of station to heal. Here, you don't have to do anything but win a battle. There's a lot of different ways to play the game, which I just love. You could rush to get the best chips and bites early, which is pretty fun to just overpower your enemies. You can get the really good Halloween characters early on, and not only that, but every bite has a purpose and every chip too. Literally more than 80% of both chips and bites are useful, so incorporating their use to your strategy is actually great. And not only that, but what characters you use in your party determines your strategy too. The strategizing and the sheer amount of customization your party can have is insane. There's so many characters. There's so much to do in this game. There's so many different bites and chips and characters to fuck around with and find your niche. There's some really great RPG mechanics incorporated into this game. Honestly, the game reminds me a lot of Dragon Quest and Legend of Zelda 2. Everything alludes to those games. The moves that you have the choice of using for each character are all very unique and fun to use. And there are also added benefits that some characters just have unique moves related to them. Testing out every character as I got them was super fun, and I have rarely ever done that where I will just test a bunch of shit in RPG games for fun. Usually I just use what works best. I just wanted to see Scott's creativity in everything, and oh my god, it was all great. Personally, my favorite moves were Neon Wall, Pizza Wheel 2, Bad Pizza, Fourth Wall, and Hot Cheese 2. Oh yeah, baby! Hot Cheese 2! Oh my god, they may not be the most damaging, but Bad Pizza and Fourth Wall are pretty unique and just awesome. And I love Bad Pizza. Flying Saucer Pizza? God, this is a masterpiece. There's some secret bites you can get too, like the fan or the pearl. I never got them, but they're just bonuses, and I'm sure they're great and unique too. All of the bites are almost unique and completely different from one another, except for the stingers and the UFOs, but even those are awesome to use. And I'm not gonna lie either, the whole RPG style Freddy in the overworld just goes hard. The music is fucking awesome. The areas are awesome. I was speechless, man. I played this all the way through. It blew me away. I even enjoyed farming for the characters. How the fuck does a game make farming for characters fun? That is incredible. Even some of Scott's trolls were funny in this game. I loved them. And it birthed a new inside joke among me and one of my friends, which is just awesome. Oh my...
What's up, man?
No.
Yeah, I told you to think outside the box.
So,
You gotta
okay. My
choose
thought
wisely.
process. My thought process here. He would. Okay. You know what? No. So he would think you would go to the nearest one. So no, he would think you would go to the furthest one. But he knows that you would know that at this point because you've been through this puzzle like a million times. So he would actually make it the nearest one because the furthest one would take you back to the beginning to troll you. Because he knows at this point you know it's the furthest one away from where you have entered from.
But he knew.
Where am I?
all
Where am I?
along.
Why?
He knew. Where
He knew
you
that I
thought.
knew that he would think that, so he put it at the furthest one because he's been doing the same thing the whole time. In fact, I had so much fun playing this game that I forgot to upload a short the day I picked it up. And of course, this wouldn't be a Scott Cawthon game without a Halloween update. So we added a whole row of characters and a new boss. This added a few minigames to play in this Halloween World area, and honestly, I liked playing a few of them. I personally liked Foxy Fighters and FNAF 57 the most. Those were great, and I like the Metroid/Mega Man style gameplay of FNAF 57. And I loved the Star Fox shit that Foxy Fighters brought into the mix. It was fun, and I had fun playing them. Even the challenge of beating Scott with no upgrades to get the coffee. It was all really fun. And last but definitely not least, every RPG game has its boss fights. I love the Chipper's Revenge boss and the Scott Cawthon boss so much. They were fun, and holy shit, Scott gave himself a killer soundtrack. Let me just play this for you. I love how Scott, even to me, alludes to how horrible the FNAF fanbase is in his lines and how self-aware he is. He keeps giving and giving and giving, and everyone is ungrateful. I love the endings of the games too. Not just the final boss fights, but the Crying Child, Old Man Consequences, the Rainbow. They were all excellent. So now, on the flip side, let's cover the bad parts about this game. To start off with, I may have complimented the soundtrack for going crazy, but unfortunately, there's only like 3 or 4 battle songs, including the boss themes in the whole game. There's just not enough music for an RPG, but as I already stated, it doesn't really take away from much though. It's just heartbreaking in all honesty. Like, I would just like to hear more music. I really wanted to hear more badass soundtracks. And since we're on the topic of battle music, I should also mention that I complimented the moves and praised them greatly, but to be honest, they do lack a lot of move variety, and there's so many characters that just have the same exact moves. There just aren't enough moves in the game, to be honest with you. Again, it just needs more pizzazz, and it definitely needs Pizza Wheel 3. It's definitely lacking in the moves department, but the moves that they have in the game are still really cool. There's just not enough. I would want every character to have an entirely unique move set, and not only that, but I want more characters to have actual just unique moves to them. Like Bad Pizza's only for Nightmare Chica, so why not just have a move like that for others as well? There's just too many reoccurring moves. Another problem with the combat that isn't just moves is that in combat, the screen shakes so much, and there's so many flying colors and shit, and it genuinely gave me a headache pretty often. It did kind of suck, unfortunately, but I mean, I pushed through it, and I was able to because the game is still good. I definitely like the combat, but I didn't like the headaches that it gave me. And one of my biggest issues in general has to do with battles and the layout of a certain area called Pinwheel Circus. This is pretty much the only area I didn't like. Fuck this area. I was stuck here for like an hour or two because Scott is just a fucking troll, man. You have all these enemies like Red Bear, Tangle, and White Rabbit that just have 5,000 HP when you probably do like hundreds at a time with a single move at this point. But that's not all. This area is a big ass fucking maze. You teleport through tents, but if you go through the wrong tent, then you're back at the beginning. You have to walk through walls and shit to get out. It's agonizing if you don't know what you're doing. I got fed up with Scott being a troll in this at this moment, and I wrote Scott Troller on both pros and cons, so they effectively cancel each other out. As much as I hate to admit it though, being trolled World by Scott was pretty funny. But still, fuck the circus pinwheels. As said in the pros, of course, the Halloween update brought in some new stuff. Well, there are 2 mini games I haven't talked about from the Halloween update because, well, to put it bluntly, they suck. These mini games are Foxy.exe and Chica Funland. These are the worst nightmares of all time. Worse than any of the Lego City mini games. Foxy.exe has you walk through warped Foxyland for like 3 minutes to get away from weird-ass animatronics and cats? Yeah, man, that's awesome. You unlock Nightmare Elm by doing this for no work at all, and you just receive one of the most overpowered characters in the entire game. Great. The other minigame, though, is hell. This is the one I cheated at, but I never used the reward to actually do anything progressive. Obviously, I did use Scott Cawthon, but I never used him on a boss. So you can unlock Scott and Chipper by completing this. You unlock Chipper by speedrunning it, which, I mean, if people really want to see me speedrun it, then I guess I will. But I really don't. I give a few good attempts at this, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. This actually topped a lot of boss attempts I had at Dark Souls even. I basically just gave up and cheated because I wanted the Lord and Savior Scott Cawthon himself. But yeah, fuck the minigame. Even with me cheating, I still died. So that should just tell you how hard it is. And now if I release a part 2, I have to complete this legitly. So cool. Maybe even speedrun it to get Chipper. What the hell have I signed myself up for? Anyway, the last few things I need to talk about is the rainbow boss and the other bosses in the game. So I'll start with the other bosses. So you got these big endos, snowmen, eyeballs, sea monsters, and wood chipper things. But really, they kind of suck and aren't really bosses. The only thing that makes them a boss is the HP bar they have. Like, they're basically just over-glorified enemies. There is nothing special about them. They're literally just normal enemies. But then you have the final boss of the game, the fucking Chica's Magic Rainbow from the goddamn minigame. Of course! I could see it all along. This rainbow has been the cause of everything. My trials, my tribulations, it all adds up to this one rainbow. This rainbow that's tormented me forever. You son of a bitch. You're the one who caused this. I had to go through FNAF 4 because of you! Yeah, I killed it, but it took forever and a day, but I eventually just ended up killing it with Purple Guy and Jacobani and getting good RNG. I use Nightmare Elm and Coffee as support. It's just a boss with literally no attacks. It takes 3 minutes to actually attack, so when it does attack, it just obliterates both of your parties no matter what or who you have. I think that's almost it, except that my biggest complaint is that the game is way too short. And as I said, it lacks content. I actually just want more FNAF World. That's the biggest issue here, but everyone hates it because they don't know good video games and think FNAF 4 is a good game. Honestly, I'm super surprised not more people actually like this game. It's well done, it's just incredibly short and needs more added. I really love this game. I wish there was a second one or a good fan game of one. FNAF World was definitely a hidden gem, and I wouldn't have played it if it wasn't for Mario in the VC with me after FNAF 1. Round of applause for Mario, guys! Round of applause. Woo! Mario! FNAF World. Link below. Mario channel. Borvold, actually. Bor Mario. But yeah, this game is genuinely probably a 7.5 out of 10. Just like FNAF 2. It would be an 8 if there was more to it, but as it stands, it is still a decent game with very few inconveniences in it, and it's incredibly short, and that is just sad. What a fucking great game. In conclusion, I firstly need to say that I do not hate Scott Cawthon. I think it is a shame what happened to him. The community really just picked him dry and were very ungrateful of all that he did for the franchise. And I do also want to say that I do not hate pretty much any of the FNAF games that I reviewed other than the fourth one, which has become my least favorite game of all time after doing this review. And something else to mention is I don't hate the community either. I think the community is misguided in many cases, and I think that they are very toxic, but I don't actually hate any specific member of the community. But now I'm gonna go circle back to the question that we had at the beginning of the video. The takeaway should be that we have learned that FNAF is not scary. FNAF is just not a scary game. And when it is scary, it fades very quickly and there's nothing to it anymore. Every game follows the same exact pattern. You're in a broken down restaurant or pizzeria or horror attraction or whatever, and you just have to survive a bunch of animatronics that are coming at you. Like, yes, the ambience in FNAF 1 1 is inherently scary. By definition, it's scary. But the more you play the game, the less scary it gets. Because you never move from your environment. There's never anything new actually happening. And while that does introduce new animatronics, it just makes the game harder rather than scarier. But once you know how the cameras work, once you know how everything works, and once you realize that you can't move from your location, your post, the whole entire scary aspect is null and void, and it doesn't even matter anymore. No scary aspect to the game whatsoever. And FNAF 4 is scary the entire time through, but it's only scary because the jump scares are loud enough to make my ears ring. So it makes me not want to get jump scared ever. That's not good scary. And the jump scares from every game aren't even that scary in my opinion. FNAF 1 might have the best jump scares, but whenever you look at FNAF 2, it's just a moving image that moves forward with little animation. In FNAF 3, the Phantom animatronics just end up appearing on your screen for like a second. And honestly, Phantom Puppet is just so bad. Honestly, whenever I was talking about some of the jump scares being like the least scary of all time, I think this might top it, genuinely, because this is just so bad. And I have to use someone else's clip here because I did not even capture this guy on camera. FNAF 4, I guess, has scary jump scares, but again, everything in that game is scary for the wrong reasons, because I'm just not wanting to get jump scared out of fear that I will physically feel pain in real life. Most of the jump scares in these games are very similar to a sonic boom happening. Is a sonic boom scary? No, not really. But does it make you jump? Sometimes it can. The jump scares are very comparable to a sonic boom sound, unironically. And these games are very comparable to the video game Sonic Boom. We'll get to Security Breach when we get there. Anyway though, with all that being said, this video is now going to come to a close. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for staying so patient with me and trying to get this video out. There was a lot of things that have been happening over the last like few months, almost a year now, since I announced this video was coming out. So there was a lot of delays, and there were some times where I could actually get the video out, but I was too preoccupied doing something else. So yeah, thank you to my thumbnail editor, thank you to my friends, thank you to my community, and please stay tuned for part 2, where we will take on Sister Location, Pizzeria Sim, and Ultimate Custom Night. Will I guarantee that I will do every single thing in all of those games? No. But will I play them to try to get a review out of them? Sure. And I will complete Chica's Magic Rainbow. And I will hopefully complete 420 by then. So yeah, I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.